This is why the Chromecast right now has better features. I like the fact that you can remap buttons. Manufacturers, why don't you allow this? I have used Chromecast in the past. Before I was an Alexa Amazon Fire TV user, I used to use Chromecasts. Those were my go-to devices. The main reason was the price. You could get a Chromecast for like £20, £30. And back in the day, that was a really good deal for a smart TV. So, the question is, should you buy a Chromecast with Google TV 4K? I moved from that, experience to Amazon because Amazon offered so much more for the price. So maybe Google has caught up on that element, but let's find out together.
Alright, so a little while back, I got sick of paying for Netflix, Disney Plus and the like for just a couple of different movies, and then subscribing to another streaming service because Netflix and Disney Plus doesn't have what I'm looking for. We're living in expensive times, and so I got desperate to find a way to watch 4K movies at a convenient price, let's just say. And because my Samsung TV runs Tizen OS, I decided that was a no-go because it's quite literally the worst TV OS created.
You know what? That's a fact. I have smart TVs in my house, right? But the OS and how you navigate them is always horrible. And oftentimes the apps you can get are locked into the manufacturer. They decide what you can get. That's why I went and got the Fire Stick, because the Fire Stick, it gives you way more options. I also have the Apple TV. I had the 3rd gen, and I hate the 3rd gen because, again, Apple locks you into the apps you can get. The 4th gen and the 5th gen, you can get more apps. But the Fire TV for me gave me that, okay, get whatever you want. So with Google, I'm assuming now that it also gives you that option to basically get whatever you want. Because Google, come on, it's a search engine. It must be able to be open for you to use any apps.
And every time I use it, I just get this sudden urge to put a hole in the TV. And so a bit of research online introduced me to the world of Android TV boxes. But very quickly, I found out that you can't just hop on Amazon and buy whatever looks good, because a lot of those cheap Android boxes out there that promise a lot for very little don't actually even run Android TV at all. They actually run a ported version of mobile Android and are filled to the brim with malware. So, fearing that I'd accidentally become...
So that makes it a little bit harder, which means that if you want to buy this, to use Google TV, you have to get a Chromecast basically.
Committing cyber crimes at the highest degree, I decided not to buy one of those, and instead I bought this.
Yeah. It does look nice. It's like a bar of soap, but white is not the best color for Chromecasts because white changes quickly over time. It will start to yellow, so maybe it's a different type of white that won't yellow over time.
This is the Google Chromecast with Google TV 4K that came out almost 4 years ago back in late 2020 with a price tag of about €70 or dollars. You see, traditionally Chromecasts were just casting devices, so basically all they did was play things on your TV screen because you accidentally pressed the cast button on your phone, and when you did actually want to cast something, it wasn't exactly reliable. So when I found out that the newest Chromecasts were beefed up, given a remote, and had a sleeker version of Android TV installed, I was intrigued to say the very least. And on top of that, reviews online paint this thing as like the greatest thing to ever happen in the Android TV box space. But is that really the case? Well, let's just take a look at what you get out of the box first. On top we have the Chromecast and the remote all boxed up and ready to go. And underneath that you'll find the power brick, because you can't just plug this thing into your TV's USB port, it requires too much power. And beside that, the freakishly long USB-C cable that comes along with it. Which brings me to the first thing I actually do love about this thing, USB-C. Sure, Google would have to be taking the...
I wish the Amazon 4K, the Fire Stick, had USB-C. If you watch my latest upload, you can clearly see that the Fire Stick only has micro USB, which is infuriating because the one I unboxed was the latest 2025 release, and even that still has micro USB. I get it, it saves money in manufacturing. They can crank out a lot of them and just upgrade the insides, but I'm impressed with this.
The piss not to use USB-C, but nevertheless, it's nice to have considering the previous generations used micro USB, the worst thing to ever grace this planet. So that's nice. Taking a look at the Chromecast itself, it's rocking a relatively similar design to the previous generation in terms of shape and the fact that it's still a dongle, only this time it's got a more oval shape and the matte white is also a very welcome new color. I really do like how this thing looks. It's minimalistic, and because of that it won't make whatever setup you've got going look like a clown show, which is always nice to know. But since it's gonna be behind the TV for the most part, the design doesn't really matter, does it? What does matter, on the other hand, is this thing right here. The remote. Now, I'm gonna set the record straight off the bat. This is one of the best feeling TV remotes I've ever held. Not the best, but it's definitely up there. From the feel in the hand to the not so loud but very clicky and consistent buttons, I can tell you that it's a great remote.
I like it. The remote. So this design, I like how small it is. I feel like on a remote you don't really need that many buttons, and I prefer the black one, but I like the size of how small it is, and yeah, it looks good, just not the color.
It's pretty small, so initially I thought there's no way I'll actually like it, but everything is just positioned really well on it, and it's not just using up a bunch of real estate for the sake of it. The buttons you have on there are really all the buttons you'll ever need, except for the Netflix and YouTube buttons, but of course you can remap them, so there's no issues there.
You don't understand how much I wish you could remap the buttons on the Fire Stick. This is why the Chromecast right now has better features. I like the fact that you can remap buttons. Manufacturers, why don't you allow this on all like smart devices? Because not everybody really cares about Netflix or YouTube. I do, but others might not.
You don't have to strain your fingers to reach the power button or anything. It's all at the center of your palm, and I've never had this thing disconnect or not be extremely responsive. So while it's not your traditional remote, it is a really nice one. But none of that would matter at all if the device itself was ass, right? So what are we working with? The Chromecast 4K, and just to be specific here guys, this video is about the Chromecast 4K and not the HD model. I say that because there are some pretty big differences between the two, and so you'd really need a whole different review for the HD model. The Chromecast 4K is running a quad-core AM Logic S905X3 processor, not to be confused with the S905X4 that can be found in more expensive and more powerful devices. It's got 2GB of RAM and 8GB of storage space, and it can display a maximum resolution of 4K at 60Hz.
This is in line with the Fire Stick 4K. Not the 4K Max, that one has way more storage, but not bad.
It's also got Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos capabilities, which for the price is pretty crazy. One thing I would have loved to see would have been Wi-Fi 6, but you win some, you lose some, you can't have them all, right? The Chromecast runs a special version of Android TV 12, and it's called Google TV, which in my opinion looks and feels really nice. It's very smooth and snappy, I rarely ever get any lag or slowdowns, but overall, the truth is it's not really that much different to any other Android TV devices out there in terms of software. It just looks a bit more polished. I guess Google just wanted to make the Chromecast sound a bit more special in the infinite world of Android boxes and dongles. But how does this Chromecast actually serve in 2024? Well, in all honesty, if you want to use this thing for something like Netflix, Prime Video, or YouTube, you know, the general streaming apps, first of all, what are you doing, man? But second, yeah, it'll work literally perfect. No slowdowns at all, no frame drops, smooth like butter. But let's be brutally honest here. You're buying an Android TV box. You can't hide.
That's true, that's true.
You're not really here for Netflix and YouTube, are you? It's okay. Your secret's safe with me, man. Don't worry. In that
What do you mean secret safe with you? For me, in terms of smart TVs, I mainly use it for watching Disney, Netflix, Prime Video, YouTube, a lot of the streaming sites, Crunchyroll, and it's something that allows you to have access to watch those apps on a large display. And yes, with with the Chromecast, you can cast your phone, so you can, it's in the name, Chromecast. So you cast your phone to the TV. But for me, if I was to get this, that's the main reason for those applications. That's why it's important to know in terms of like what apps can you run. And it seems like it can run a lot of apps, which is good.
Case, I'm assuming you're using something like Kodi or any other application that may or may not let you sneak by some of that copyright law. Well, here's where I had some minor issues. When I first tried to watch any large files, any really high bitrate content, let's just say anything above 30 gigabytes for a 2-hour movie, the Chromecast would have some noticeable stutter. And if you're like me, stutter while watching a crispy 4K HDR movie is enough to make you put your head through the nearest wall.
That might be because of the Wi-Fi connection
From this device. Keep in mind you're paying €70 or dollars or whatever British pound equivalent, or maybe even less if you're getting it on sale. So it's definitely more on the budget side of media players.
Okay, let's finish this. Should you buy the Chromecast with Google TV? Maybe. There are some benefits that this has that I'm gonna use the Fire TV as an option because that's what I use. That the Fire TV doesn't have. The main thing that I like about this is it doesn't have bloat. When I say a bloat, I mean when you use a Fire Stick, Amazon send you ads when you're not on your device. The screensaver might be an offer on Amazon. Or when you're on the homepage, it starts showing like Prime Video adverts or Prime Video like releases to market it to you so you can download and use Amazon Prime Video. So Amazon advertise to you on a constant basis. It's not like in your face, it's just like it's annoying. And on the remote of the Fire Stick, you can't change and remap the buttons. This Chromecast, on my understanding, has the same quality, the same power, the same price as the Amazon 4K stick, but you can remap the buttons. The remote is a lot smaller, a lot neater, and it comes with USB-C, and you don't get given ads like as much as the Fire Stick does. So in terms of depending on what's important to you, that does make sense. I know that this is an older version that came out in around 2020. There is a much newer version that has more features, and I will make a video on that shortly. So you can still buy this for around £60, the older version. The newer one costs around £99. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. And you know what? In the comments down below, let me know. Do you use this or would you buy a Chromecast? Thank you.